Hey there, it is 8:49 p.m. It is July 27th. It's Saturday evening. It actually feels later than what it really is. I can't believe it's only like 8, not even like 10 o'clock. It felt like it was 10 o'clock. I guess I've been really busy in my room a lot today. Just kind of like, just working on different projects and putting things together and thinking my thoughts, through and trying to get things organized. And, I have to find these little projects for myself to do because I feel as though everything that I've been through has caused me to have, like, I guess, I don't know, how would you describe it? I would say that it's a very dangerous state for your brain to have low activity, meaning like not having any sort of excitement or any sort of any sort of activity or any sort of change in its environment. Like, it's the same thing every day for me, right? Like, I get up and I do my stuff, my work or whatever, but I don't really leave the house unless, of course, I'm going to the store. I mean, being in this program is very destructive, okay? And so, like, this is just one of the examples of the abuses that I've received. Being forced in isolation is, obviously something that is looked upon as very abusive and very damaging to a person to put them in isolation. But I've been in isolation for a very long time, and they knew the psychological damages of this. And this is what I'm saying about, these weird cults that go on and being affected by this sort of behavior. So anyway, tonight I was thinking about, the problems with low brain activity. Like, the times where I call it downtime. Like when I'm not working on a project or whatever, I don't have a lot of thoughts in my head, right? Mainly because of the wicked behavior of the people that got involved in my targeting. Like I said, when you are a target, it wipes out everything. Okay, it literally destroys every aspect of your life. So the things from my past are erased. You know what I mean? I've erased a lot of my past. I don't think about my family. Unless, of course, I'm thinking about how this relates to, CB Berganza and the whole unwind, okay? And quite frankly, I'm telling you right now, it's interesting to find out these little bits and pieces, but I'm just burned out. You know what I mean? I'm burned out over this whole situation because it's to me, it's like, I don't know. Um, I would never ask for that in a million years. I would not ask for that in a million years. And when I think about, how all this stuff unwound and my father's stance on it, apparently, I don't even think the emperor, when he committed suicide, I do believe that he himself was feeling like, man, he just did not like what was going on. So, anyway, I wanted to talk about, the alternative therapies for people such as myself who are targeted individuals who are placed in isolation to where it's affecting you because you're not getting the outside stimulation that you're supposed to have. Okay, that is very dangerous and it's a form of abuse that you're going through. But you have to find ways to keep your brain active. Okay, so sometimes, if you are a targeted individual, the medical system is not exactly your best friend, okay? So you have to find and experiment with different ways of increasing brain activity, okay? And that might be doing different things in your house. It might be doing something like rearranging your furniture. I'm thinking about rearranging my furniture because I need something different. Something needs to change, okay? Now, I've talked about feng shui and how it kind of it can alter your reality, but it's not just mainly for reasons I'm doing it for metaphysical reasons. I'm also doing it because I need to look at something different. Like the surrounding needs to change. Seriously, on just a regular mundane, regular basis, it needs to change. I need something different. You know what I mean? And I've dealt with the isolation for such a very long time, and it's been very abusive. You know what I mean? This is one of the tactics that they use on targets to isolate them and put them in, situations where they're deprived of the things that a basic person needs. Like, a person needs to have some sort of interaction. They should have that. I mean, you don't have to sit here and be like the life of the party, but you should have regular exchanges of, like you go to the store and you say good morning to the sales clerk. Oh, hi, how are you? Oh, I'm doing fine. And you go about your business. You have to have some sort of interaction, even if it's at work, you talk to your boss or whatever, like chitter chatter, that kind of stuff is normal in order to, but see, the thing is that there was never any sort of equal balance when it came to this group that I was in. Okay, like a normal person that go to work. Hi, how are you? How was your weekend? You get on with your work and you leave for the rest of the day. It was like, let me stop at your desk, let me stare at you, let me gossip about you, let me be it's too much. Okay, I don't like a lot of attention. You know what I mean? So, I mentioned that I was talking to my son about me going back to work and everything. And it's very difficult when, you dealt with something that was very traumatizing and you've been like followed by, a cult that was basically threatening my life, okay? And then, I do understand that, who and what the whole issue was and everything. And the whole thing is weird. I honestly can tell you that this is where the burnout is coming from, So if you're dealing with burnout, because a lot of target individuals, it doesn't even have to even get to the point of you're digging into your past lives. It's just the fact that you're sitting there in isolation. You do not have any sort of stimulation going on in your life. Okay, and that's very dangerous. It's very dangerous to get to that low state of mind. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to experiment with, like, for example, I've been listening to, like, I don't know what you call this, like Nexus 604. I guess they have like a bunch of different psychedelic type. I would call it like trance music, or yeah, I guess trance music. The reason why I'm listening to it is because it has like a lot of fast beats, and also the imagery on the screen shows a lot of different like art that keeps like transforming itself in a very fast pace. So it keeps my mind active, and I found that it's helping me with moving my brain, my thoughts, and my thought process. Mind you, for people like me who do not have anything to focus on in their life, I don't have anything to focus on in my life. Okay, like I said, I'm disturbed by everything in my past. My present is extremely boring, and my future is questionable because I've dealt with bullying for such a long time. So the only thing I really have to think about is I'm basically just, this is one of the reasons why I'm constantly doing readings and stuff like that, because I'm just basically an open vessel with all my spare time. I don't have any activity to fill that in, the blanks, right? So, it gets to be like, and the only thing that really is surrounding my life is the residual energy of this association that I have. So I will tell you, my life just feels like it's just nothing but negative. Like, I don't really enjoy the life that I'm living right now because of this issue that I've had to suffer through. Okay, so my life has basically been affected, so I have to find ways to build myself up, to change things. So I do think that things need to be a little bit more intense. Like right now, I need intensity. Like I need fast paced, color, loud. What do you call it? Either like just I guess what you call it, psychedelic or techno music or something like that. This is helping my mind move. You know what I mean? I see. I could listen to instrumental. I've been listening to like some piano music, but that's too slow. And also, to me, there's a time and a place for everything. That kind of music kind of makes me more tranquil. And at this point, I don't need tranquil. I need movement. You know what I mean? So anyway, definitely, stimulation is important for me. Um, I was thinking a lot today about me wanting to wrap things up, and because for all my life, I feel as though religion has been a big part of my life. Not that I belong to any particular religion, it's just that all my life I've been sorting through the pros and cons of religion since I was a kid. You know what I mean? And I do realize a lot of the things that we come up with and the things that we ponder on and the interests that we have do have a lot to do with our past lives. Okay, and my search for truth and having answers was like the most important thing in my life. You know what I mean? Um, I I can see that my father, left this earth, and he was determined to not come back. And before I started putting the pieces together, I realized that I myself just really got tired of dealing with this whole thing. Like the whole thing was just, I can't get over it. Like, you know, I'm sitting here in this community trying to just live my life. I'm not even thinking about anything, and then all of this drama just like fell upon me. But I mean, I looking back, I do realize that it was always there. It's just that after the Murray Family Farms thing, it was just like, okay, something is really going on. So this whole thing has, you know, over time has, you know, unwound, and it's revealed itself to me. And like I said, it just cleared out everything, just wiped out everything. But it did provide answers. It provided me a lot of answers as to why I struggled so much as a kid, why, you know, why I never had, I didn't have a chance. I didn't have, the way this whole thing was set up, I didn't have a chance. I was literally vulnerable to everybody's abuses, and it was designed this way. Designed this way. You know what I mean? And I honestly think that people would have thought that they convinced themselves. I don't know. To me, this whole thing is so sick. It's so beyond sick. Anyway, I don't want to talk about that too much. But because this is the only thing I have to think about. Think about it. You know, people that I used to think well of, I can't think well of them anymore because they sucked themselves in, or I found out they were wearing masks. It's too much. It is literally too much for a person. Okay, so I'm just letting you know what that's like. And like I said, for the perps that that were like stalking me, this death cult, they're getting off on it right now. Honestly, I mean, I honestly do not see any redeeming qualities in these sick people at all. So anyway, I was thinking about how C.D. Braganza must have felt after he died. You know, I know it's been said that his apparition and stuff like that has been seen. I don't know that for sure, but I feel as though it's possible. Why do I feel this way? Because there were so many negative things that went on in his life, and as well as James Gordon's life, just by being in this program, just by, you know, just the whole thing, you know what I mean? And I think, you know, realizing that so much was taken from him, and then that the suffering that was going on, there was really nothing, he felt helpless, you know what I mean? And it's funny that I come back as Maria Gordon, and there's certain things in my life that I find that I do not want in my life at all. Like, you know, it's funny because I was thinking how the Queen of Egypt at that time, which would be Tup's wife, which would be me, right? I was the Queen of Egypt at one time, which is mind-blowing, right? But at the same time, that was a past life. And in this life, I'm Maria Gordon, who lives in an apartment, okay? So that's how it is, whatever. But I find it interesting that after I passed away, nobody could find my body, and that they made me into a man, a boy, Prince Alamehu. Now, I do understand that the queen must have really liked to, she must have liked to pamper herself, okay? And I don't know what their purpose was of trying to flip my sex around on purpose. Do I think they flipped my sex around on purpose? Yes, I do. I do think so. You know what I mean? But whatever. Like I said, you know, I'm the kind of person. And this has something. I get this intuitive message that has something to do with the emperor rejecting Christianity. You know what I mean? So, you know, like I had said in some of my other videos about religion being forced upon people, like, you know, and colonizing and stuff like that. That's happened to a lot of people. And I hate. It's like I feel as though, you know, I'm a clone. Okay, I am a clone. And like my DNA is my DNA, and you know, I don't know. I guess I just wish this never happened. You know what I mean? I wish it never happened. You know, I know that certain things that I like or I'm interested in are definitely a direct relate or connection to my past life. And then there's certain things that I have an aversion to. Like, you know, I had mentioned I never wanted to be interested. I never showed any interest in politics at all. At all. You know, and I just remember thinking, I just always thought I was just off to myself. I really did. I always felt like, and I think the reason why I felt so all by myself was because, I didn't realize that I was like this targeted individual in this program to where people were gossiping about me and always making me feel like I was the other. I didn't really get the full scope of the entire thing until along, just recently. And so when I did, I was shocked because I don't expect. Maybe I'm naive, but I always believed that we have freedom of religion in this country. I never really thought that anything that I did was wrong. You know what I mean? So I never realized that I was some sort. I don't know, whatever. And then looking down this whole like family history thing, to make a long story short, I see that this is like a generational thing to where, people try to force us into something that we didn't believe in. And that's sad because, no one expects to deal with that. Well, we didn't anyway. We didn't expect to deal with that in the United States of America. But, I understand that there's been a lot of infiltration by certain nationalist groups and stuff like that, and I saddens me to know that my father had to deal with that kind of racism because I dealt with that racism, and I know as the girl who used to walk to 7-Eleven to get my dad just like a big giant what do you call it, York peppermint patty, just because I wanted to see my dad smile. I mean, I honestly love my father and adore him very much, okay? And for me to have to understand or to realize that my father had to deal with that kind of intense hatred from people is just very heartbreaking for me. But it's a reality, okay? And that my father died because of racism. My father was literally made it so that his mind scrambled and imploded in on himself, and a lot of people got off on it and enjoyed it. It's like one of those sick pictures that like what conjures up in my mind. This is what the workplace represents to me. Okay, like I had told you about. I'm not even gonna add it in the next slide. You know what? I think I'm gonna add that picture. Hang on a second. Hmm. It looks like I can't find it, but I think you guys get the picture. It saddens me that my father had to face that sort of stuff, and I think my father was very trusting. Much like I was when I was younger. Well, he tried to tell me when he got older, but what I'm saying is, like, as he was getting older into James Gordon, okay, before I was born, okay, apparently my father was starting to believe and trust in people. Like, I can tell by the conversations that my mom would tell me that she and I would have about my father and how, they moved out to California and some of the things that what he went through. And, I know that we were visited by, white people when I was younger, and now I see that these white people were just, informants. You know what I mean? And I think about it and I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. So it's like I know I'm looking back and thinking about the things that my dad said. And I will say, before my father completely lost it, he really did not feel comfortable with white people. He really didn't. Okay. But in my mind, I was like, well, he was thinking that this was the 70s and, the days of lynching were gone. Like, he was hoping, right, that things were going to be better in the 70s. So here I come, and then it just got worse. You know what I mean? And then me, I grew up, and then I went into the workforce, and people were just fucking pathological, like, and you think that people are, you try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but these are just life lessons that you learn. You know what I mean? I understand this is a Nazi program, and my father was basically killed off by Nazis. But yeah, and I was harassed also by Nazis. So yeah, C.B. Braganza, he died in a very disturbed state. You know what I mean? Because he he was he was somebody who just got set up. It was a bad situation for him. Being Egyptian, being who he was, being the person that he was meant to be, living his life based on who he truly was. This is, I mean, it's like if a lot of people resent the fact that some people try to put restrictions on their sex life or their desire to have sex, how they have sex or whatever. Why? Because that's their part of their nature. So it's like for even somebody to suggest such a thing, it's like, whoa, you're kind of you're treading on something that you shouldn't be treading on. Okay, you're just that's just you just don't go there, right? And we have our rights. We have a right to protect ourselves. So it's like, when I think about Stevie Berganza, this man was at one time the queen of Egypt. And he's used to certain things. And he's going to be attracted to certain things. And when you think about the misery, you know why I do certain things? Because not number one, art helps stimulate my mind. It's one of the things that I do like to do. Okay, and I am not somebody who's like completely oblivious to reality because I understand, this is not a playground. People have to suffer. People suffer all the time. Okay, but this is one of the reasons why I do feel I'm grateful for my rights. Every time you go to a workplace and you're sitting here putting your life on the line when you get a new job, that's one of the realities of hell. That's as far as, how I feel, how I look at it. Okay, so I might spend 8 hours at a job, which is going to be hell because you're dealing with shitty attitudes, low standards, gossiping, illegal practices, so on and so forth, and basically death traps. Okay. So the one thing you can at least do when you get home is like maybe turn on some tunes that you like, or maybe you could paint your nails a color that you enjoy. Those are the things that I'm talking about. I think some people have tried to paint me out to be like, oh, you just want to, you're just believing in escapism, or you just don't believe that you have any responsibility. Actually, I don't really have any responsibilities. I only have me. Okay, I honestly don't have anyone to sit here and worry about except for me. Okay, I only have myself. Okay, because I was in a program that was meant to destroy me. So there is no looking back. Everyone I knew was brainwashed. You know what I mean? To kill me, even my own family. That was fake, right? So, when you think about these sort of things, these sort of things that get in the works, it's very dangerous. Okay. And I had to find out I was a clone in the most unusual way. But I do find it interesting that, Tut's wife, um, was the queen, and then she was changed to Prince Alamehu, and then married into a British family. And then, C.B. Berganza ends up dead, in a mental institution in 1956. Wow. You know what I mean? And as Maria Gordon, right? Maria Gordon, from day one, had an aversion to anything that was political and was very skeptical all my life of religion. That's past life. That's past life right there. And why? Because something happened that left such a lasting impression on my mind that this is who I ended up becoming. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. I think it's been a nightmare for me. A nightmare, okay? An absolute nightmare. But and it saddens me, like I said, to know that my father was disrespected. But you know what? Oh, I respect him because he got up every morning and he went to work, knowing that people were probably talking about him, knowing that people probably hated him, knowing that people were sitting here sending him like the evil eye and everything else. But you know what? He did what he had to do as a father. And you know what? People can say what they want to, but he was a great man, and I loved him. So uh, that's all I can say. You know what I mean? Some people are just evil. There's a lot of evil in this world. There's more evil than you can even imagine. You know what I mean? And it's sad because people thought this was a Nazi plan anyway. And see, the thing is, when it comes to Christianity, and I'm not bashing anybody who believes or wants to believe in Jesus, I'm not doing that. I have always tried to keep those things separate because I do think that when I think about, I don't know, white nationalism and how they try to enforce Christianity, it's almost like telling black people to accept something that's not, it's not a part of us. I'm not, I'm not saying all black people should not be Christian. I'm just saying that doesn't resonate with me. It doesn't resonate with me specifically as a person. And then also I think about what's been going on with my family, understanding that they've had all these struggles. And personally, I don't think my father wanted to ever be cloned in the first place. You know what I mean? I don't see his soul back here on earth. You know, um, we should have been left alone. But then again, I understand it. This is about dominating somebody and making somebody feel bad about themselves. I don't want to take jabs. That's not the point of this video. But what I am saying is like, my goodness, the suffering that was caused because of this, the suffering, and not just my suffering. I mean, so many people suffer as targeted individuals. It's not even funny. I am making a playlist. It's my vision, or the what do you call it, my point of view. I'm calling it my illuminated path. I'm going to be making playlists, and I will be starting to do that. I did write down some stuff today. Because I'm breaking these down in like principles. Because, okay, you got to talk about, your core beliefs, your principles, and your core beliefs. Okay. So I'm thinking, wow, that's true, because whenever I make a decision in life, it's going to be based on that. I don't think about it in like little steps and stuff like that, but there's certain things that I don't do, and you have to ask yourself, well, why don't you do those things? Why is it that you don't? Okay, so these would be my explanations. I do know that in my life, I do believe the first thing and the most important thing to pursue in life is knowledge. Okay, if you have knowledge, then you know how to make good decisions. Okay, and you are informed so that you can avoid dangers. It's basically making the best decision. I do believe that life here on earth is hell, and because I believe it and I see it that way, and because I see it that way, I understand not to take certain things too seriously. But then on the other hand, I also know to take things very seriously. You know what I mean? So when it comes to like life decisions, I always have to think, okay, I'm already burdened enough. I know not to take on more than I can handle. You know what I mean? So I try. This is something that I feel is really important. And the other thing I wrote down was, oh, okay. Okay, it is my responsibility to comfort, to protect, and to coddle myself when life becomes overwhelming. And that's true. You know what I mean? And like I said, how I see things is based on my experience. And of course, I'm going to add more to these because I don't really have a shitload to add. But I'm just basically like really thinking, okay, what is the thought process of why I do these things? I do believe that, the only person in life that we have are ourselves. Okay. Now, I'm speaking for myself specifically based on what I've gone through, but I've also listened to other people's, story about, people flaking out on them, not carrying through. But I'm bringing this back and reflecting on myself. Okay. I am not saying everybody has to live the way that I'm living, but this is the reason why I live the way that I do. Okay. I've never had any sort of stability. I've never had anybody I can trust. I've only had me. And the reason why is because I was born in an experiment. So, like I said, when it comes to politics and how people move or how they have certain philosophies, there's certain things that might be a benefit to people, but there's certain things that are going to be exclusive to me. Why? Because I was born in an experiment that was meant to kill me. Seriously. Okay, so it's going to be different than the person who might live two doors down from me, or a lot of other people, because there's certain things about my life that are very specific. So in my life, I've only known people who've lied, people who are pathological, people who are carrying out some sort of a murderous agenda. I don't know anyone else. That's all I know. Okay, so it is my responsibility to love myself and take care of myself. Okay. Also, I did write down to be polite to friends and enemies. I'm supposed to conduct myself beyond reproach so that I'm never blamed for anything. So, like, you might go into like work one day, and there might be some high tension, right? But I have the right to come into my workplace. I have the right to sit down, and I have the right to do my work. So I'm always going to say, good morning if they say good morning to me. If I understand people don't like me, then I'll wait for them to say something to me, right? But otherwise, if they say good morning, then I'll say good morning. You don't have to be my best buddy, but I'm going to mirror your action. I'm not going to be the first person to say good morning.
Why? Especially if I know that somebody doesn't like me. Why? Because I'm respecting their space and I'm respecting their distance. I'm not going to be the one who's going to be to blame for anything. So like somebody does something, I get the cue, I'm letting it go. I'm just moving on about my business. You can get mad if you want to. You may not like me specifically. You may pick on certain things that I do. And if I have the right to do it, I have the right to do it. But nobody's going to say I'm the blame for anything. So I'm always going to conduct myself beyond reproach. Also, forgiveness in my life is an option. I'm not obligated to forgive anybody. And I think that's a two-way street. I'm not obligated to forgive the injustices that go on to me. I am not obligated to say, oh, it's okay that people hurt me in the past. It's not okay that I have been cut down from generation to generation over and over and over again, at least 2 or 3 lifetimes of being screwed over, okay, and not being able to have any sort of stability and no real love in a family. If you don't have a strong family structure, you don't have anything. So I was basically created as some sort of game piece that it was just ridiculous. Okay, so in this case, no, forgiveness is an option. It's an option. I don't have to. In this case, you know what? I'm going to say I just want to move on with my life and forget about it. Okay? Am I somebody who thinks it was okay? No, I will never say it's okay. But do I think, for example, I should hold it against certain people of this generation because of something their ancestor did? Uh, it depends. It depends, right? But whatever. Overall, though, like the people that hurt me in my past, I'm under no obligation to forgive anybody, and nobody should. Okay, when people force you to say you're sorry, do you really mean it? Do you really mean it? I mean, to me, sincerity is important. You know what I mean? It's important to be sincere, and I will probably write something about sincerity in my principle set too, because I do think that's important. I don't say things I don't mean. I don't like to give people dualistic meanings. I try to be as upfront because I don't want people to misinterpret. But somehow or another, when you're dealing with pathological bullies, somehow or another they find some way to misinterpret your words. Like when you say "get away from me," that means let's get closer. Like what? Anyway, number 6, never cause to another. Oh yes, I never want to cause harm to another person. Okay, so if I do cause harm to another inadvertently, I do what I can to replace it as fast as I possibly can. This is one of the reasons why I don't borrow things from people. Okay, like somebody. I mean, I got screwed over with this group of people, so I don't have a car anymore. So, like, let's just say, for example, I was good friends with, like, my next door neighbor, which I don't even know who they are, but we were, okay, in this little scenario. So I knock on their door and ask to borrow their car. Their car costs money, okay? If I damage that car, am I in a position to replace that vehicle? No, I'm not. So, therefore, I should not ask for that. Now, if I did damage their vehicle, it is my moral responsibility to pay them back. If their item was damaged and it had some sort of value that was sentimental that cannot be replaced, okay, then I understand that I did something very wrong and I have a responsibility to try as much as I possibly can to fix and replace it. Why I believe that is because if I don't, that's going to cause bad blood between both people. It's going to cause tension. These are the little things that cause tension. And if there's tension, I want to make sure in my life that I am not responsible for it. That is one of the reasons why I resent this issue so much, because I have seen ill behavior being demonstrated towards me at so many times, right? That I know to do just the opposite. Okay, and so also yeah, I do believe in keeping good, positive relationships. So, therefore, I don't ask people for anything. I do everything on my own. I am responsible for myself. I'm completely self sufficient as much as I possibly can. You know what I mean? Now, I understand, like, I've had to get, like, jobs and work and stuff like that. Okay, but if I had the ability to be like self-sufficient to live on land or something, I think I fantasize about that all the time. Okay, that's not gonna happen. Okay, I would like to live in a more secluded place. You know what I mean? Because I would like to grow my own food and stuff. I'm just one of those people who's old-fashioned. I really like old-fashioned things like sewing, painting my own things. I'm just really into this whole like make yourself, surround yourself with your energies and stuff like that. That's how I am. And the reason why a lot of it has to do with the fact that I had to adapt my entire life. Because most of my friends really, we weren't friends. It was a setup. And I always went to and hung out in places where I felt the most warmth and the most comfortable. And I've always felt more comfortable by myself. Okay, because every time I've been around people, it's always been you can feel the plotting and the negativity is so thick you could cut it with a knife. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and write down sincerity and writing down scenarios onto what sincerity is because that is important to me. I do have sincerity and truth. Okay, so I have some work to do on that. But yeah, I take certain things seriously, and I understand because the spotlight was directed towards me in this experiment, right? And I was already set up to be the other. People assume that I was a threat to my country. I'm not a threat to my country. Okay, now what is it that made them feel like I was a threat? Because I didn't want to get married? I've had people abuse me my entire life. I can't take that chance. That is not saying that I'm against marriage. Okay, but I'm against marriage for people who've been in my setup. I tell you that it doesn't make sense for them to get in a marriage. Now, if you're somebody who has the ability, and I'm going to be talking about my view on marriage and all that stuff in my little what do you call it POV or whatever. I'm making playlists on my channel, but obviously people are going to need to populate, okay, and you need to have that. It's just that because knowledge and my experience means so much to me. As I'm talking about creating children in this POV thing, okay, I'm going to be talking about it based on my experience and my knowledge. Okay, now obviously I will tell you when I was younger I had a child out of wedlock. And I didn't really know much about anything. I just figured, okay, I will worry about all the details later. And that was the kind of person I was, pretty bubbly and pretty happy-go-lucky, even though I was in a community that hated my fucking guts. Why was I like that? I've always had that inner light. Maybe it's because of my spirituality. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, I didn't realize it was that thick back then at the time. It's funny the mind control, of people and their hatred and the racial hatred, really, especially. I'm going to emphasize that because I got pregnant by a white guy, right? And no, nobody ever penalized him for his shit, right? But I'm the bad person. And see, it's like you get the blame for absolutely everything when you're in these setups, you know. But yeah, I look back and I'm thinking, my God, I put up with so much. And when you look back, there's not much to look back on. So this is one of the reasons why I have to create my own forms of therapy. And I think I do a decent job, but I understand right now I do need more intensity. Okay, there really isn't much in my life right now for me to do. So anyway, what else do I want to talk about? I think that's pretty much it. There's going to be times where I want to come on here and make a quick video. I am going to be uploading my other videos that I made for the Swan Song Manifesto. Today I uploaded 2 of them. They were on numerology. Like I said, I'm making a playlist for that, and it's going to be under the occult. You can go ahead and take a look at those if you get a chance. I'm sorry that people thought that I was a threat to this country just because, I choose to be the Egyptian person by nature. I'm Egyptian by nature. I am. I'm Egyptian by nature, and I also know that people are talking right now about me who learned more about me and come to understand my situation. See, a long time ago, people never got a chance to really hear me because it was already made up in their mind that I wasn't worth listening to. They only thing they knew was is that I was the adopted kid and I was associated with King Tut's clone, and they already hated him, so they're going to hate on me. And on top of that, I was in a mental institution because I refused to be a Christian. See, that's all they knew. But did they ever ask why? No, they didn't. I'll tell you why they didn't ask. Because they were comfortable in their racism and they were blinded by the demiurge and archons. Okay? That's how that shit works. But and unfortunately, I got put into a situation that seems very political because when you think about it, it is because I'm a black woman. I represent all the things that people just automatically question. They do. I mean, they do. Um, I'm a black woman. I'm a single woman. I'm not married. You know what I mean? I skirt religion. I try not to get into religion. I avoid politics like the plague, right? And okay, and let me make this very clear. When I talk about me not getting involved in politics, that is no way me saying that I hold grudges against any leaders specifically, even though I know there were some leaders who did some things that were pretty messed up to me. Okay, but that's not my point or how I'm looking at it. When I say I don't like politics, is like I remember like conversations. This is what I'm talking about. Like I'm at work and somebody's trying to dig at me. They want to dig at me. And a lot of times people bring up their politics because they can't come out and be racist directly, right? So they'll come up and tell me that what their political affiliation is, knowing good and well that their affiliation is kind of known for like being against people of color, right? So this is what they do, and this is why I say that I don't like politics because it's their indirect way in the workplace to take digs at people, and I don't want to deal with it. I come to get my job. I want my money. I want my paycheck, and I want to go home. It's as simple as that. Okay, I'm not here to sit here and talk about politics or talk about, how you feel is so unfair or you want to talk about, make some stupid jokes about ebonics that I don't even understand. Okay, I'm here to get my paycheck. It's as simple as that. You know what I mean? So this is why I don't like politics. I understand politics is necessary. Okay, if we didn't have a system of government, okay, people would really go crazy. Okay, it cannot be anarchy. We cannot have that. All right. Now, can I self-govern? I do feel as though I'm a good citizen. Why do I feel like a good citizen? Because I don't cause conflict. I don't cause conflict. The conflict that gets created around me is because other people create that conflict, and I was created in an experiment that drew that sort of attention to me. But I'm a very peaceful person. You know what I mean? I'm a very peaceful person. Is there something else I wanted to say? I think that's pretty much it. There's just times where I need to come in here. I need to talk a little bit. And I need right now more than anything, I need to change my routine. I need to get out of the house on a daily basis and figure out what I'm going to do because this is not good for a person. Tell you, I hope that nobody else ever has to deal with this sort of thing because it's really not a good thing at all. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video and I'll be back with the other one later. I will be posting videos, uploading more. I probably have about maybe 20 more videos to upload that were on the Swan Song Manifesto. Um, yeah, but right now I'm done. I did upload two, like I said, they're about numerology. So if you want to check those out, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, I would really appreciate it if you like this video and you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss further content. I'm going to wrap up this video. Have a good night. Bye.